Technology has all but taken over our lives. We're bombarded by email, phone calls, news feeds, social media comments, and text messages from morning till night. The distractions are endless and increasing daily. Is this easy access to information and its subsequent addiction to digital devices having an impact on our state of mind? Is it gradually eroding the peace of mind that is at the heart of all spiritual practices? Join us as we explore the changing face of religion in the digital age. We live in an increasingly fast-paced world. Each morning we are startled awake by the dreaded electronic sound of an alarm coming from our smartphone. Even before getting out of bed, we check for the latest Facebook and Twitter updates. And while getting dressed, we consult a weather app to see what clothes to wear. Next, we grab a quick breakfast coffee while mindlessly scrolling through our iPads to catch the latest installment of grim news from around the world. Then it's off to work to spend a vast portion of our workday staring at flickering computer screens. The day ends with a quick microwave dinner scoffed down while watching the latest YouTube clip gone viral. Finally, we collapse empty and exhausted into bed, but not before resetting that digital alarm clock so that we can start the cycle all over again tomorrow. Is it any wonder then that the vast majority of people today feel mentally agitated, physically exhausted, and worst of all, spiritually disconnected?
The kind of constant stimulation we get from social media, from the internet, is really a low-calorie diet for the brain. It's like junk food, and it doesn't really nourish us.
Well, back when I was growing up, there was news time. There was one time in the day, I think a 6 o'clock news, and that was it. The daily time you had to hear what was going on in the world. Whereas now, you're frantically being hit by all the news all the time.
But it's not all bad news. As social media increasingly becomes part of our daily lives, people have found fresh and fascinating ways to interact with religion and spirituality. Ancient rituals and practices have been brought into conversation with contemporary spiritual life in a manner never seen before.
If you look at that sense of community that goes with every religious organization, that grows, I mean, you can call it Sangha, you know, that spreading of knowledge and sharing it with others. For that, technology has been amazing.
Technology has its good sides because it's so easy for us to reach out. So while I'm bound to an office most of the day, we do a lot of our organizing of courses and of outreach through social media, through Facebook.
One only has to look at Pope Francis's Twitter handle with its more than 40 million followers to realize the full extent to which traditional faith institutions have successfully converged with technology. This phenomenon is by no means limited to Christianity. In this age of cyberspace confessionals, the World Wide Web is also teeming with prayer memes, online Buddhist sanghas, meditation apps, and even electronic Hajj. Literally millions of people log on daily to seek atonement, chat to a cyber imam, or to get virtual darshan updates from Hindu saints.
There's a lot of problems with technology, but of course it's such a gift as well, to be able to stay in touch with friends and friends from the past and people you don't necessarily have the time to connect with.
I certainly feel that things like Facebook, social media has the power to bring people together. And for example, me being type 1 diabetic, I've found these groups online whom I would never have come across in any other way, who support each other and they pay it forward.
Albert Burr and Zoe Hokadashati use technology all the time, both in their work and in their spiritual practices.
You can now access spiritual teachings from various traditions that were absolutely impossible to access and were totally secretive for centuries, if not millennia. and these are all available to us now. It's a tremendous time to be alive.
So how beautiful to be able to connect into this broader community of people who you would never ordinarily have come across. And you don't feel so quite alone in whatever challenge is your bodily, physical health challenge.
Albert and Zoe come from different cultural backgrounds, yet share a similar spiritual outlook.
Zoe and I had many friends in common, and we tended to move in a group who were quite interested in alternative forms of spirituality, conscious dance, Taoism, and in my case Buddhism. And there's just such a resonance with these things that she and I had a lot in common, and we'd enjoyed doing workshops and retreats with the same kind of people and the same teachers.
For me, there was a solidity about him, a groundedness that I felt was really attractive, and also a sense of mindfulness, a slow way of doing things rather than lightning fast and then think about the consequences.
It was a very slow progression in our relationship, and that was obviously facilitated by technology. We communicated through Facebook and phone, for a long time, and between the times we could see each other, we both live very busy lives, so we'd maybe get to see each other if once a week was possible. That we were lucky. So that's where being able to interact through Facebook and other social media was really helpful.
And you're getting picked up when you get there. Yeah. So we can still do Kriya on Monday, and it's the...
Digital devices are also invaluable to Mukesh and Galinda Vasan, both in their professional and private lives.
All of the work that I do is online. I mean, these days, development itself doesn't even happen anymore on your actual computer. It's on a virtual server, which is obviously highly advantageous.
Because I use social media a lot for marketing the NGO work that I do, I have a public profile, so everything I do is public.
It keeps you connected to the internet all the time, so there's always Wi-Fi, which means at the same time that I'm doing my work, I'm also having conversations with other people, emails keep coming through, and that's kind of my average work day. I try to block it off so that I really focus on one thing for a solid amount of hours. That makes you obviously far more productive.
Everything I do, I feel it's benefiting people, whether you post knowledge or whether you share something coming up. That's the main purpose. That's why I'm on social media. It's also a very nice way to reach out to people and to keep communicating with them.
Mukesh and Galinda met at a party 20 years ago and soon found their common interest in spiritual matters offered the opportunity of building a strong relationship.
Yes. No, actually, before I have to go off to Franschhoek. So now we just need to arrange those logistics as well in between.
I think what's really good for a relationship is for people not to focus on each other, but to have a common goal. And we have that common goal, which we keep working towards. And it's not each other.
We've always had the same interests. I can't even say similar, but the same interests. We've always been best friends right from the beginning. So we do everything together. It's not like we've got separate hobbies or separate anything, really.
If you focus on each other, you often pass each other. But if you have a goal in the distance, you both work towards it. It becomes a sustainable relationship. Also, spirituality really helps you deal with your emotions in life.
This dynamic couple are devotees of Sri Sri Ravi Shankar and the Art of Living Foundation. They work hard at finding a balance between their spiritual practices and the demands of their high-pressure careers.
So my job basically binds me to my desk. I often joke about that with friends, and I say when I chose my career, I really didn't know that I was going to be permanently tied to a power outlet. But it is that. I mean, I'm a freelance web developer, and I do a lot of digital communications for clients. So communicating digitally is actually part of my job description. And, on the average day, I can spend easily between 8 and 10 hours in front of the computer.
Mukesh was born in Durban. His family moved to Cape Town when he was 4 years old. His parents were both activists during the apartheid years, so when it came time for him to study further, it's not surprising that he chose human rights law.
Work-wise, technology's improved my life so much. Researching is much faster rather than looking through indexes. You type the word or phrase that you're looking for and it finds it much quicker than you can ever find it.
After a successful 20-year career as a parliamentary lawyer, he has recently started his own law firm, which provides him with the greater flexibility he requires as an art of living teacher. As an advocate, he credits the latest developments in legal technology for helping him to be more productive and efficient.
I also use a cloud-based system, so I work on the same document at home. When I get to the office, I open the same document, so I don't have to save it onto a memory stick and then perhaps lose it, and it's accessible anywhere.
Mukesh says that while old-school advocates have secretaries laboriously type up their documents, he has thankfully found a software program that literally saves him hours each day.
Dictating is much faster than writing. Although I can type fairly fast, I find that as you read and it types, you have special software that we use for drafting, and that saves you quite a bit of time.
So despite the bad rap that technology often gets, it has undeniably made life a lot more convenient for us all. But how do we find that happy medium where we can make the best use of tech without being consumed and overwhelmed by it? Albert Burr is a copy editor who works from home. His job involves hour after hour of high concentration in front of his computer.
I find working on the computer all day without taking reasonably long and regular breaks takes such a toll on my sort of sense of being in the world. By the time I get up from the computer, my mind feels crowded. It feels stuffy. There's a sense of a kind of film between me and reality, and I find the best thing to get rid of that would be moving and getting out and getting a bit of exercise, but it actually takes a bit of time before I feel clear and sharp again in my mind.
Albert says that while he needs to be connected 24/7 for work and social media, he is aware of scientific research indicating its negative neurological impact as our brains become not only accustomed to, but addicted to constant novelty and distraction.
Despite the benefits of technology, it also has quite a price. It's convenient and useful in so many ways, but it creates many habits that really affect the way the mind functions. The mind becomes conditioned to a certain instant gratification. When you scroll through Facebook, it's a kind of constant dopamine drip in your brain. You're constantly getting a little hit of satisfaction with every new post, and it creates a kind of addictive brain.
Zoe Hokadashati was born and raised in Cape Town before moving to London, where she studied Taoist practices and yoga. On her return, she became a full-time yoga teacher. Like most of us, she has an ambivalent relationship with technology.
I am attached to my phone basically throughout the day because I was teaching a lot of yoga at different studios. There were always classes to cover, there were things going on, different WhatsApp groups to be on, WhatsApp groups for the school where the kids are with all of the teachers, so I can't do without it. besides like practical things, I also use it for like gratitude exercise. So I've got a little app on there where it reminds me, today I'm going to be grateful for 3 things. So while all the things that I'm constantly on my phone, I'm like, well, yes, it's also making me happier because it's reminding me to look at the bright side of life when things can really seem overwhelming. So I have a very, very good connection with my phone.
The very technology that was so welcomed by Albert and Zoe when they were first getting acquainted later had the potential to keep them apart, even if they were in the same room.
I'm grateful to technology for helping bring Zoe and me together. But now that we are in an intimate relationship, we find that technology can easily intrude and pull each other apart.
This sense of we're together, but we're not together because we're actually distracted.
When we are, in fact, physically together, but not mentally, not heart to heart.
I feel like when we first met, we used to spend a lot of time being so connected and so present with one another and having this time together because I would soon need to go and be with the kids and we had our lives, so it was very special. And now we spend time together and I'm arranging classes and he's on his phone, and it gets to a point when this happens for too long that I start to feel resentful of like, but you're not seeing me, we're not really connecting.
For Galinda, the biggest challenge with the new tech is that it's always available. While her phone is on, she never feels like she can completely relax.
We're actually constantly bombarded with information, because where we used to before maybe have a moment where you would just sit quietly and not do something, the moment you're scrolling through a social media feed, you're getting bombarded by somebody else's information. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant doesn't really matter. The mind keeps being busier and busier. And I mean, that's obviously something that we know because we practice mindful and spiritual practices, is that the mind has to become empty every once in a while.
If you go out, you see a couple, they're not even spending time with each other, but they're on their phone. So Galinda and I have a rule sometimes that the one who picks up the phone first is going to pay for the bill. So we put our 2 phones on the side and we actually spend time with each other.
The day begins early for Albert and Zoe. The children have to be readied for school and there's breakfast to make. But as with many of us, the temptation to check their phones before getting out of bed is just too compelling.
When I wake up in the morning and I spend 5 minutes, I put the alarm off and I sit with my phone and look at things I really don't need to be looking at.
It's very easy for me to stay in bed, end up on my phone because it's the phone that wakes me up. So immediately I'm on my phone already and I'm seeing, oh, there's a WhatsApp, oh, there's a Facebook message, and I'll quickly check those because you've just woken up. You don't have the discipline always to say, no, not now, later. Then I've got the computer open on my lap in bed, and before I know it, I'm sucked into a world of communicating with people from all overseas, and I just don't get the chance to go outside and just reconnect and wake up in a way I'd prefer to.
Mukesh too admits that when he wakes up in the morning, the temptation to check his phone for messages and emails can sometimes get the better of him.
When I get up, the alarm goes on and I first check maybe social media and then my mails and read some of the legal news, and then it's interesting to see time passes. Actually, half an hour, 45 minutes go by so quickly, and then you realize that you have to get moving.
For tech-savvy and health-conscious Galinda, even making her daily breakfast involves the use of her smartphone.
So we really do our best to live relatively healthy. And in the more fast-paced life is, the more difficult it becomes, because convenience food also is like so easily available these days. So we tend to make a juice in the morning, and we actually found this really amazing app for it, which doesn't just give you fantastically balanced and combined recipes, but it also gives you a little shopping list. So you can head off to the shops on the weekend and you know exactly you need this much of mint, this much of apple, this much of celery. And it makes it quite fun because he's got a large variety of juices, so you make sure that you get a different bunch of nutrition and vitamins every day. And then you know that, okay, even though the rest of the day I might not be able to choose as much what I'm eating, we know that we've gotten a good balance of the important stuff before we even leave the house.
Say when.
Thanks.
Well, there's leftover for whoever wants.
So next week I'm teaching my new schedule for the first time, the updated schedule.
Our ever-present devices are certainly changing the nature of mealtimes at most households. Times that were once traditionally regarded as a space for much-needed family bonding.
By the time we're up and we've, gotten dressed and ready for the day, and it's breakfast time, we have to sort of sit down and eat. And instead of eating together as a family, it's often a case of actually being distracted by the laptops and the phones and the messages coming through. And time is short, and we have to leave soon. So before you know it, we're busy eating and communicating with our laptops more than with each other.
We have those moments where it's intimate and beautiful, and our tech just happens to be part of that co-creation. And then there's times when actually we're in different worlds entirely on our laptops.
But we have to do the meditation course in the evening on Sunday.
Because of how busy we are, we like to kind of sync up and make sure that we're on the same page in terms of knowing what's going on the week ahead, and especially now that he travels so much. So syncing our calendar apps from the phone to the laptops really, really helps. Technology has helped us really a lot with this. I mean, if I think about it, before you used to have a diary where you would write down what's happening and what time, and to share that with another person, first of all, you don't. Secondly, I used to often forget actually to just write things down. Now, the moment I log it into the calendar, he knows about it. And that is really great, especially because of our courses, the Art of Living activities. It's easy that sometimes it overlaps with something else that's going on. And the app just really takes care of that.
I'm actually going to tell her to come here. Maybe we'll have her over for dinner. And then I can quickly do that with her online.
Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
If finding a healthy relationship to technology presents a challenge to adults, the problem can be compounded many times over when dealing with children and their impressionable young minds.
So it's really useful around them not being so connected to tech because of the kind of school that they go to. They're at the Waldorf school, and already it's part of their culture to not allow TV viewing more than once a week. So Friday is their movie fest, we call it, and the idea around it is that they play everything out that they see in the movie, and by the time they come back to school on Monday, they're open and available to new experiences again, and they're back into their own nervous system, and they're not out in the TV. I feel that as a parent, you can get a sense of when it's too much, that there's a point in their brains and in their energy where they go, I'm frazzled now, and I actually just need to play, and I need a different kind of stimulus, which has got nothing to do with a visual, but it has more to do with what I can actually do.
Zoe encourages her children to play outdoors as much as possible. She has discovered that children today spend less than a quarter of the time their parents did playing outside. According to a study from the University of British Columbia, children who play outside are more likely to cherish and protect nature when they become young adults. The same study reveals that today, kids on average spend less than 30 minutes in unstructured outdoor playtime compared to more than 7 hours a day sitting in front of a digital screen. Mukesh and Galinda don't have their own children, but they do have a special little person in their lives. Unfortunately, their busy schedules don't allow them to spend as much time as they'd like with her.
Yeah. What's been really lovely, we have this brand new little niece, and she is absolutely incredible. And as much as we actually try to keep her away from technology as much as we can still, she grows so much and so quickly that if you don't see her for a week, she's like a new person, because every day she picks up a new skill and she does something different. And so we often give her like a quick FaceTime call, and she knows, and it's actually really lovely to see that interaction. And Mukesh also does it when he travels a lot. So we make sure that even if we can't see her physically more than 2-3 times a week, we talk to her.
As is typical of most people today, we see that both couples are embedded in a sea of tech devices on a daily basis. So we wondered, how do they cope when they choose to power down completely for a few days? Up next, we see how Mukesh, Galinda, Zoe and Albert shut off all TVs, computers, tablets and cell phones and turn to nourishing their souls with a host of tech-free practices to see how this impacts their state of mind. In our ever-encroaching digital world, it seems that no time and space is held sacred anymore. Increasingly, though, people are realizing that not only do their devices need recharging, but so too do their souls. Of late, there has been a worldwide movement across all faith groups to embrace a period of rest and respite from sanity-consuming technology, whether it be in the form of a digital Shabbat, giving up social media for Lent, or abstaining from all personal gadgets during the holy month of Ramadan. These initiatives to go off the grid at regular periods reflect a collective need by individuals to reboot their spiritual lives by unplugging from their tech devices in order to reconnect with God, their spiritual beliefs, and their own souls.
When we were approached to do this documentary, I thought it was a great opportunity to deepen something that we've been sort of aware of in a growing way over the last few years, in wanting to mitigate some of the intrusion technology has on our lives and our time together.
Albert and Zoe have agreed to power down their gadgets and take a break from the unremitting cyber noise of their tech devices in a spiritual experiment of sorts.
So in our day-to-day lives, we are so engaged in so much tech all the time that it's been really beneficial to occasionally take a day off, or sometimes two, to just take a weekend where we switch everything off, and it forces us to reconnect to other aspects of being, with each other, with nature, with the earth.
They live close to some of the best beaches in the country, and that's where they head to find some much-needed silent space and time. For them, connection to nature is intimately entwined with good physical, mental, and spiritual health.
When you go to the beach and you walk, especially when you walk with your feet in the water, you're benefiting so much from the Earth's natural negatively charged electrons, and it reduces systemic low-grade inflammation in the body, which is fantastic, because so many of our modern maladies are affected by this low-grade inflammation.
As soon as we let go of the tech and we're very focused narrowly to this handheld or any other kind of device, your awareness suddenly opens up and you notice the very bright green in the leaves, and you feel that the sea is sparkling in a very shimmering, beautiful way that you ordinarily would have missed because you're here and you're not here.
There's quite a lot of science to show that reconnecting to nature in a very physical, real way has this tremendously healing effect.
So it feels like as soon as there's a very conscious letting go of the distractions of what the mind wants to take you into, then you can really see where you are and appreciate what's around you and take it all in, absorb it really, and feel your oneness with that rather than feel the separation from everything.
Personally, I find when I go to the beach and I've spent a few hours at the beach, by the end of that day, I feel fantastic. I just feel wonderful. And I think most people can relate to that. And to a degree, it's getting the vitamin D from the sun. It's getting a bit of exercise, swimming, playing games. But to a great degree, I think it's really this unseen benefit of grounding that's benefiting our bodies.
Albert says that going against the tide of constant connectivity and instant feedback restores a lost sense of time and space and rekindles an appreciation of the joys of solitude and spiritual silence. Mukesh agrees and says that this kind of power down not only guards against digital burnout, but provides room to enjoy tech-free pursuits such as mindfulness and meditation, which are important tenets of the art of living practices he follows. For him, a frequent digital detox does not feel so intense as his spiritual practices give him a daily dose of peace and mental quiet.
I digital detox every morning and every afternoon. So in the 3 hours that I do, it's an inward journey that I have. So I do about
the present moment. The mind is constantly all over the place. We're always worrying about something or we're regretting something. And so through the breath, you become more conscious and you become more aware of the moment and you become more aware of what is happening right now.
Secondly, all the emotions are connected to the breath. Yeah? So if you see different rhythms of breath, if you get angry, your breath starts to speed up. If you get a fright, it stops. You know? If you're happy, the emphasis is on the in-breath. And if you see sad, depressed people, the emphasis is a lot of sighing. Like, this happens unconsciously. So when you consciously practice a rhythmic breathing technique, it really harmonizes your emotions too.
We have to still the mind. Yeah? And I think especially also if it is having a look and seeing how much technology we're really using in our lives, we have to still the mind. So a really important part of that is, of course, meditation. But for many people, just to sit down and close your eyes and meditate is really hard.
In the beginning, I used to like meditating alone, and I didn't get into the yoga much. But then I found that doing the physical postures, even though they're quite fast, some of them, it's a combination of breath and movement, and it actually increases the capacity to meditate. It really brings you inward, so it not only benefits you at the physical level by toning your body and doing the rest, but it also harmonizes the system better.
Breathing and meditation are a foundational aspect of Zoe and Albert's practices too.
I find there's also such a difference between the kind of sounds we usually hear through all our technology, the notification pings and the phones ringing and even the sound emanating from TVs, compared to natural sounds. So when I go to my meditation cabin to meditate, I usually like to start the session with the Tibetan singing bowl, just giving it 1 or 2 knocks. And the sound that fills the space has this amazing effect on the mind. It seems to have a kind of resonance that affects a sort of unification of the mind. It brings the mind into the room from all its usual scattered activity.
We like to find when we're together, when we have this block of time, that we start the day with a meditation, because it does just, first thing in the morning before you do anything, just sit down and meditate and ground and breathe and feel what's happening in the body, what's arising, and in the mind. It really helps to set the tone for the day.
Spiritual practice has been really important to me in the last 10 years. It's something I do daily and I experience great benefit from. It just keeps me normal, it keeps me somewhat grounded. And how that plays out in a relationship is really significant, in that it's inevitable to get triggered in relationship, for someone to say the wrong thing and for another person to have emotional reactions to that. And through so many of these practices we've been doing together, we're able to navigate those difficult territories so much better, with so much more harmony, and we're able to always come back to a place of love really quickly.
Sri Sri Ravi Shankar says, meditation is important for every human being. Meditation fulfills the natural tendency of human life to look for a joy that does not diminish, a love that does not get distorted or turn into negative emotions.
Meditation's always had a part, an essential part in everybody's life. But since technology's become such a big thing, and we're constantly on a phone and we're constantly on the internet and we're constantly talking to someone, whether in person or digitally, it's even more important.
In the evenings we use an app developed by the Art of Living. It's called Sattva. So Galinda and I sit together and we meditate for 20 minutes while something's cooking. A gong goes, a very gentle gong at the end of 20 minutes to let you know you can come out of meditation. So in that way it's very useful.
See, the end game of being peaceful is to stop the chatter in the mind. And that is meditation. To just be able to relax and be quiet.
If you find that you're on your device often, your mind, it keeps your mind busy. It keeps your mind in activity, and your mind in activity creates restlessness, it exhausts you. You get deeper rest in meditation than you get in sleep. So when you consciously go inwards, your mind really gets rest that it needs.
To get the rest that they need, Zoe and Albert experiment with a technique that is a little more unusual, often as a means to deepen their connection with each other as well.
One of the meditation practices I like to do with Zoe doesn't quite look like traditional meditation, where you're just sitting quietly watching your breath or some other object of meditation. We'll sit facing each other, looking eye to eye, and we'll just describe the quality of awareness between us.
I would drop into just breathing first and allowing my body to relax, and then connect into his eyes and see what happens from there.
Initially it can feel quite difficult, but soon enough there's a sense that builds that the past and the future drop away, and that we are able to really connect heart to heart and eye to eye without these filters of the discursive mind constantly jabbering away in the background, constantly thinking what it's going to say next and constantly trying to get its needs met.
While studying yoga in London, Zoe learnt a tantric practice called Yabyam, literally meaning father-mother.
It's a way of connecting to the body through the breath, again, and then through movement with another person to connect into the energy channels in the body. And so say we haven't been connecting or we've been busy in our lives, then we'll take this time to just drop into each other's energy body really and feel the field between us.
Reshuffling our reliance on technology does not have to equate to silence. For many people, a digital detox presents a great opportunity to be more prayerful and to engage in the more traditional rites and rituals. Galinda and Mukesh have a small temple in their bedroom, and it's here that they perform a sacred invocation called a puja.
Sanskrit is ancient, and Sanskrit as a language really, it's not that it has a meaning, but it is the vibration of the sounds that have a really, really powerful effect on us. So when you chant, whether it's loud or mentally, the nervous system just soaks it up. It's almost like we remember from a long time ago. When you perform puja, puja really is an act of fullness. Means you're so grateful for what the universe has provided. You know, we've been given flowers. They're so beautiful. They got such beautiful fragrance. There's so much of light in the world. Yeah, we offer water, we offer rice. It really just shows the abundance of that our life has. And when you focus on lack grows. And when you focus on what you've got, more abundance and blessings come to you. And it's really important to make that a part of your life.
It's been scientifically proven that spending time in nature has many health benefits. Using global data involving more than 290 million people in 20 countries, the University of East Anglia has found that regularly spending time in a park or wilderness area reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, premature death, stress, and high blood pressure. Albert and Zoe are lucky enough to live next to a nature reserve, and they go for long walks here as often as possible, where they gather the materials for their evening fire ritual.
When we do our fire ritual, one of the most important parts of it is to come into the forest to look for twigs for our kindling. And so we already start to drop down into being connected into the earth and feeling gratitude for being able to have the twigs and kindling just lying around and being able to collect it for our own little fire.
There's something really magical about just simply staring at a fire. There's an almost unprovoked happiness that arises after a while, of just taking pleasure in the sensuous beauty of simple things.
You can almost see a life cycle that starts to happen. The wood starts to disintegrate and become really hot and then become cold, and we add more wood. But I feel that once you even go deeper than that and let go of that layer, there is almost a buzzing in my brain that happens.
We're so used to watching movies where it's sort of a thrill a minute and constant bombardment of stimuli. And it just has such an amazing effect to be staring at something like a fire, which is fascinating as well. It's got movement and color, and it glows, and it's just a beautiful thing.